The air was thick enough to chew, or maybe that was just the fine dust swirling in endless swirls over the barren ground. Commander Ryland stood with his boots planted unevenly, feeling every grain crunch beneath him like an old familiar tune. Across the cracked plains, the alien forces gathered in a slow retreat, ships humming quietly as they ascended like reluctant birds leaving a burned nest. He watched the alien princess at the edge of the formation, her silhouette framed by the fading light. Her ears stretched long, pointed just so, twitching with every whisper of the wind like some oversized radar. She held her posture like royalty, but even she seemed to be chewing on nerves. Ryland glanced sideways at his squad, a motley crew of humans and one android whose idea of humor was a poorly timed joke about quantum physics. "You know," Ryland said, "if they keep standing around like statues, we might need to install a freeze sign next to them." The android's voice crackled. "Statues lack facial expressions. They might be less threatening." Ryland snorted. "Less threatening? Try telling that to the guy who just got a plasma burn because he blinked wrong." Nobody said a word. The alien forces had retreated as planned, but the silence that followed was suffocating, a void bigger than the empty sky above. Ryland could almost hear the tension tap dancing on the edges of his helmet comms. Somewhere, a radio crackled with a nervous laugh that quickly died. The princess shifted slightly, her eyes narrowing like she was calculating the odds of staying unscathed versus pulling a full retreat. The long ears twitched again, sending a subtle shiver down Ryland's spine. He wondered if those ears picked up the sound of his heartbeat. "All right," Ryland muttered to himself, then louder, "Hey, sweet girl." The words broke the silence like a poorly tuned broadcast, raw and awkward, but strangely disarming. Heads turned. The princess blinked, those long ears quivering in surprise. "Sweet girl?" she asked, voice smooth like warm silk mixed with something amused. "Yeah," Ryland said, scratching the back of his neck under his helmet. "I figure after all this staring and tension, we could use a little easing up." He gestured to the empty space between them. "Besides, if I called you princess again, you might throw a plasma grenade at me." A flicker of a smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. "Plasma grenades? Your sense of humor is as primitive as your weapons." Ryland grinned. "Hey, I'll take primitive if it gets a laugh out of you. Beats those formal treaties that sound like robot poetry." The princess stepped forward, her boots kicking up tiny dust clouds that glimmered faintly under the alien sun. "You are a curious one, human soldier. Most would either be trembling or shooting by now." "I'm just trying to keep things interesting," Ryland shrugged. "Plus, I think laughter might be the best kind of disarming." The tension around them seemed to dissolve just a bit, like a thin fog retreating before sunlight. The alien soldiers exchanged uncertain glances, their grips on weapons loosening. A tall, heavily armored alien chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound that made Ryland raise an eyebrow. "You humans really do have strange ways." The princess tilted her head, those long ears flicking once more. "Strange, yes, yet perhaps not without merit." Ryland glanced at his squad. "All right, team," he said, "we just invented peace diplomacy. Let's not mess this up by getting shot." A nearby communications officer snorted into his mic. "Sir, should I start drafting a treaty titled, 'How to Charm Aliens with Bad Jokes'?" "Only if you include a footnote about the long ears," Ryland replied. "Apparently they're sensitive to sarcasm." The princess laughed then, a clear, genuine sound that cut through the lingering tension like a laser through fog. "Very well, human. I shall remember your words." She looked around at her people, her voice dropping to a serious note. "And you, curious soldier, may have begun something far beyond a ceasefire." Ryland gave a mock salute. "Just doing my part, Princess Longears." A sudden beep interrupted them. Ryland's comm crackled urgently. "Commander, sensors detect an unknown signal approaching. Possibly a rogue faction or a prankster with a bad transmitter." The princess raised an eyebrow. "In that case, you may need to up your jokes, soldier." Ryland chuckled. Yeah. Nothing like a cosmic surprise to keep the party lively." As the alien forces began their final withdrawal, Ryland and the princess stood in an unlikely moment of truce. Neither spoke for a beat, then simultaneously turned to watch the horizon, where uncertain futures shimmered like distant stars. Somewhere between tension and laughter, war and peace, they found a thin line to walk, one step at a time, with a joke and a smile as their guide. Rylan adjusted his helmet, the heads-up display flickering with the usual barrage of alerts and comm chatter. "So, princess," he said, nudging the alien woman with the long ears who stood beside him. "What's the deal with those things? You ever catch yourself on a windy day and get your ears tangled in your hair?" She narrowed her eyes, one eyebrow arching high. "Windy day? On the desert plains? Your sense of environment is curious." "Hey, we humans have to make small talk somehow," Rylan replied with a grin. "Besides, I bet those ears are great for eavesdropping on gossip. Got any juicy alien court scandals to share?" The princess laughed, the sound light and musical. "If I told you, you'd probably spill it to your comrades and start an intergalactic tabloid." Rylan mock gasped. "No way! I only share classified information with the coffee machine." Behind them, the human soldiers set up a makeshift camp, tent panels shimmering with adaptive camouflage tech that flickered between desert brown and starfield black. The aliens watched cautiously, their sleek armor reflecting the setting sun in glints of cobalt and silver. The air buzzed softly with the hum of drones patrolling overhead, their rotors stirring the dry dust like invisible dancers. "So, how's this ceasefire thing supposed to work anyway?" one of Ryland's squad mates, Jensen, asked, hauling a crate of rations. "I mean, one wrong move and we're back to shooting stars." Ryland shrugged, checking the ammo count on his blaster. "It's mostly a waiting game. Think of it like a cosmic staring contest, except everyone's too polite to blink first." Jensen snorted. "Polite? We're soldiers, not diplomats." "Yeah, but apparently it's the only way to keep the peace without a bunch of paperwork that could fill a starship's cargo hold." The princess cocked her head. "Your sense of humor is persistent. Do humans find it effective in disarming enemies?" "Depends on the enemy. Some just laugh and shoot. Others, well, that's where I come in." Ryland's comm beeped, a message from command. "Report status," the voice crackled. "Still standing, still breathing," Ryland replied with a grin. "And I might have just invented a new form of diplomacy involving sarcasm and nicknames." There was a pause, then an irritated sigh. "Keep your head down, soldier." As night fell, the camp came alive with the glow of bioluminescent plants genetically engineered to thrive in the harsh desert environment. They cast a surreal blue-green light that made the aliens' elongated ears shimmer like exotic antennae tuned to the stars. Around the fire, the humans and aliens exchanged stories. Not of battles or strategy, but of strange customs and funny mishaps across the galaxy. The princess recounted an incident where her long ears had accidentally activated a hidden communication frequency, broadcasting her royal complaints about subpar space cuisine to the entire fleet. Ryland laughed so hard he nearly toppled off his seat. "Bet that went down well in the next council meeting." "Not exactly," she admitted, a sheepish smile playing on her lips. "I was grounded from attending state dinners for a cycle." Jensen piped up. "See? Even royalty gets grounded. That makes me feel better about the time I locked myself in an airlock." "Airlock confinement," Rylan added, "the universal punishment for humans everywhere." Their laughter was cut short when the drone's sensors detected a faint energy signature approaching the perimeter. The princess's ears twitched sharply, and she signaled to her guards. "Possible disturbance," she said. Rylan drew his blaster, eyes scanning the shadows. "If it's a rogue faction, they just found out why sarcasm is a weapon." From the darkness emerged a small figure, a childlike alien, eyes wide and innocent, clutching a strange device that beeped erratically. The princess stepped forward, her voice gentle. "What brings you here, young one?" The child blinked up at them. "I'm lost. I was chasing a hollow butterfly and I think I'm in trouble." Rylan exchanged a glance with the princess. "Well, looks like our ceasefire just got a lot more interesting." The child's device beeped again, projecting a hologram of a star map with blinking red dots moving erratically. "The other kids, my friends, they're playing a game. They didn't mean to start the fire." Princess and soldier exchanged a look that said unspoken things. about peace, war, and the chaotic unpredictability of both. Rylan broke the silence. All right, team, let's figure out how to keep the kids from blowing up the galaxy, yeah? The princess's smile was soft but determined. Sometimes peace begins with a game and a lot of patience. As the night deepened, the unlikely group huddled together. A human soldier, an alien princess with long ears, and a lost child whose innocence threatened to rewrite the rules of engagement. Somewhere between laughter and duty, they found a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, the stars could align in favor of peace. Raylan squinted at the flickering holographic map hovering between them. All right, princess. According to this, the rogue faction is spread out like a bad constellation, scattered and hard to pin down. The princess tilted her head, ears twitching as she studied the glowing dots pulsing on the starfield display. A fragmented force, she mused, makes negotiation complicated. Complicated was Ryland's polite word for messy enough to ruin any hope of a quiet night. He rubbed his chin beneath his helmet. We could try diplomacy, or we could try a surprise visit. You know, knock on their airlock and say, hey, can we talk? The princess let out a low chuckle. Your human diplomacy is remarkably direct. I'm afraid they might respond with less conversation and more lasers. Jensen, who had been tinkering with a compact plasma rifle, chimed in. You mean less talk it out and more zap it out, right? Exactly, Ryland said. But sometimes the best way to get a conversation started is by not getting shot first. A sudden beep from the child's device interrupted them, projecting a swirling hologram of shifting energy signatures. There, the child said, pointing with a trembling finger. That's where they're hiding. Ryland raised an eyebrow. Well, looks like our little butterfly chase has led us straight into the hornet's nest. The princess smiled faintly. Lead the way, soldier. I find your reckless optimism intriguing. Their small group set out, moving with cautious steps through the alien terrain that shimmered faintly under the stars. Ryland tried to lighten the mood. You ever think about how weird it is that hornet's nest is the universal metaphor for trouble? I mean, no one ever says, let's poke the quantum singularity, but same energy. The princess glanced at him, amusement flickering in her eyes. Humans have a unique way of dealing with danger. Humor, and apparently terrible metaphors. Jensen snorted. Hey, at least it's better than the alien version. Engage with careful subspace protocol compliance. Yawn. As they neared the rogue faction's hideout, a hollowed-out asteroid buzzing with guarded drones and sensor arrays, the tension crept back like a slow tide. The princess raised a hand, signaling silence. We must be cautious. They do not honor ceasefires or common decency. Ryland gave a mock salute. Got it, princess. Caution and decency. What a combo. Suddenly, a drone whirred to life, its sensors locking onto their group. The child gasped, clutching Ryland's arm. Oh, Ryland sighed. Yeah, that's not a hello drone. Before the drone could raise an alarm, the princess stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Peace. We come with a message. The drone hesitated, then a synthetic voice crackled. Identify yourselves. Princess Sela of the Zarenthian court, she said, and Commander Rylan of the United Earth Forces. We seek dialogue. There was a long pause. Then unexpectedly, the drone's tone shifted to something almost sarcastic. Dialogue, huh? You have an odd way of knocking. Rylan grinned under his helmet. Well, we're working on our social skills. The drone's sensors blinked. Follow me. They were led inside the asteroid where the rogue faction had set up a makeshift council chamber, an eclectic mix of salvaged tech and alien relics glowing with strange energy. The council leader, a grizzled alien with scars running along his elongated ears, sat with arms crossed. Why do you come, Sela? What makes you think we want peace? Princess Sela met his gaze without flinching. Because even the fiercest war needs a pause. Because even enemies deserve a chance to laugh before fighting. Ryland added, and because sometimes peace starts with a bad joke and a smile. The council leader snorted. You humans are either brave or stupid. Maybe a bit of both, Ryland admitted. But if we don't try, we're all just waiting for the next explosion. The leader considered them for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Very well, but be warned. Peace is a fragile thing, easily shattered by those who don't share our sense of humor, Jensen whispered to Rylan. Glad we brought the jokes then. The princess's ears twitched. And our patience. As they left the asteroid, Rylan glanced at Sella. So, what's next? More talking or more bad jokes? She smiled. Next, we see if laughter can truly bridge the void. Rylan shook his head with a grin. Well, princess, I think we're about to find out. And somewhere in the distance, the stars winked as if in agreement. Rylan shifted his weight, the cold metal floor of the transport ship humming softly beneath him. So, princess, ever been stuck in a tin can hurtling through space with a bunch of humans who think comfort is a 5-second power nap? He smirked under his helmet. Princess Sella's long ears twitched as she regarded him with a mix of amusement and mild disdain. Your species' definition of comfort is rudimentary. Yet somehow your persistence is entertaining. Rylan laughed. That's my specialty. Entertaining and annoying in equal measure. The transport jolted slightly and a console beeped. Approaching the orbital station, the pilot announced. Sella glanced out a small viewport, her eyes narrowing. This place reeks of bureaucracy. Welcome to the Galactic Accords regional hub, Rylan said, where red tape weighs more than the gravity. Jensen, adjusting his helmet, added, At least here, they can't use long ears to eavesdrop on you. You've got the human advantage. Sella smirked. I suppose there are perks to having ordinary appendages. As they docked, the hum of the station enveloped them. Robots and aliens of every shape and size moved through corridors lined with holographic advertisements promising everything from anti-gravity boots to sentimentality enhancers. Rylan elbowed Sella gently. See? Space Mall. They were escorted to a conference room where holographic star charts floated midair. A delegation of alien diplomats awaited, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. The lead ambassador, a tall, multi-limbed creature with eyes that shifted colors like a nebula, began, Princess Sela, Commander Rylan, we have received your proposal for extended ceasefire and cooperation. We must ask, why humor? Why approach peace with jest rather than formal treaty language? Sela's ears flicked. Because humor cuts through pretense. It's a universal language, when done right. Rylan grinned. Yeah, plus it's cheaper than a fleet of warships. A robotic assistant chimed in. Laughter has been recorded as a catalyst for reduced hostilities in multiple species. Data supports your approach. The ambassador raised an appendage thoughtfully. Interesting. Perhaps a trial period then. A joint cultural exchange program? Jensen whispered to Rylan. Cultural exchange? So alien karaoke nights? Rylan smirked. Or interspecies cooking contests? I'm already brushing up on my plasma souffle. Sella shot him a glance. Your enthusiasm is relentless. Days passed with meetings, awkward attempts at humor, and tentative steps toward understanding. Rylan introduced the aliens to Earth's concept of dad jokes, which produced mixed reactions. Sella shared Zorenthian tales involving her ears accidentally broadcasting royal secrets, much to everyone's amusement. One evening during a rare break, Rylan and Sella found themselves alone in a corridor illuminated by soft blue lights. Rylan gestured toward a maintenance panel. Ever try hacking one of these? Bet you'd be good at it with those ears picking up all sorts of frequencies. Sella chuckled. I prefer diplomacy to hacking, but I admit curiosity tempts me. He smiled. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back, or something like that. She raised an eyebrow. That sounds like a human proverb. Yeah, we have tons, mostly about cats, coffee, and confusing metaphors. Their laughter echoed softly, a small beacon amid the vast, sterile station. Suddenly, alarms blared. Security breach in Sector 7, a voice announced. Rylan grabbed his gear. Looks like the party's just getting started. Sella's eyes gleamed with determination. Then we face it together, with courage, and maybe a few jokes. As they raced toward the chaos, the uneasy alliance solidified, not just by politics or necessity, but by the shared hope that even in the cold expanse of space, Warmth could be found in unexpected places. Rylan leaned against the control panel, fingers tapping rhythmically as the last shuttle prepared for departure. Well, Princess, looks like we actually pulled this off. Peace, Galactic style. Sella's long ears twitched with something close to a smile. Indeed, against all odds, laughter and awkward moments proved mightier than blasters. Jensen nudged Rylan. Remember when you said humor might get us shot? Turns out it got us a ceasefire and a diplomatic award. Rylan grinned. Yeah, who knew bad jokes could be a weapon of mass connection? Their comm crackled. All units, report status. Ceasefire holding stable across all sectors. Sella turned, eyes reflecting the starry expanse beyond the station. I never imagined I'd find camaraderie in a human soldier's irreverence. Rylan shrugged. Guess we humans are more than just bickering species in questionable fashion. Your willingness to embrace unpredictability changed the course of this conflict, she said. You taught us that peace isn't just strategy or treaties, but moments of genuine connection. Rylan's expression softened. And you showed me that even in the cold void of space, there's room for warmth. A sudden ping interrupted them, a final message from the lost child whose holomap had first sparked this fragile alliance. The child's laughter played over the channel. Hey, you two, don't forget the interspecies game night. I'm bringing the hollow butterflies. Sella chuckled. Game night it is. Let us celebrate with unity and humor. Rylan shook his head with a smile. From tense standoff to game night host. What a journey. As the last shuttles launched into the night sky, Rylan and Sella stood side by side. Soldier and princess, allies, forged through risk, jokes, and unexpected friendship. The stars beyond twinkled, silent witnesses to a new chapter where peace began, not with a treaty, but with a simple, hey, sweet girl. Ready for whatever comes next? Rylan asked. Sella's eyes gleamed. With you? Always. They shared a quiet laugh, a final thread weaving their stories together, promising that sometimes the smallest words can change the universe.